There's a fun YouTube video trending these days called the assumption video. So I thought it'd be fun to ask my audience, my readers, my viewers, a few assumptions about me. It's all coming up next at Style at a Certain Age. Hi ladies, it's Beth. Thanks so much for stopping by today. And yes, I have that fun trending video on deck. But if this is your first time visiting, I always wish a very warm welcome. Hit the subscription box before you go so you don't miss any videos coming your way. And if you're looking for style inspiration, I have loads of it over on Facebook and Instagram, and a lovely lifestyle blog, Style at a Certain Age, where you'll find recipes and cocktails, health and wellness, and my German Shepherd Oscar. But let's get into those assumptions. Well, as I mentioned in the teaser, today it's a little bit of a departure from my typical skincare, beauty, style video, but I thought it would be a lot of fun to tackle the trending YouTube video, the assumption video. So I asked my YouTube family and over on Instagram to send me your assumptions about me. And I was very interested to see some of the assumptions, sent my way. And for me, I always like to kind of pull apart the word assume, and it makes an ass out of you and me, and that's how you spell assume. So assumptions can be just that. They can be way off base, but a lot of times they can be very spot on. And some of you really hit a lot of the nail right on the head. So I kind of put them into buckets so the video's not too terribly long. Hopefully I touch on the assumption that you sent my way, and let's get into it. So the first one, I actually got a lot of this, is that I was born into wealth, that I'm wealthy, that I'm rich, that I've had a sheltered life. So I'll try and answer all of those questions very succinctly. But I grew up in the Midwest, and my father was a very industrious man. He was the youngest of 7 children, grew up in Storm Lake, Iowa, was born in 1933, so at the tail end of the Depression, and it was a very modest family. So he was the type that learned how to, grab that piece of chicken because, if he didn't, if he wasn't a little bit of aggressive, one of his brothers or one of his sisters would get that. So he learned at a very young age, you really kind of had to take life, by the tail and make of it what you will. So he, as I said, he was very industrious, and he actually had a basketball scholarship. He was a very good athlete. And so he went off to college on a basketball scholarship, but he knew that he just was so aimless and just really didn't know what he wanted to do at that time. So he actually dropped out of college, joined the Marine Corps. So he was in the Marine Corps for 3 years, and I think that really instilled a lot of discipline in him. So when he got out of the Marine Corps, then he met my mother. They got married actually very young. He was 20 and she was 18. I mean, kids really. And then he put himself through college on the GI Bill. While he was married, then both my mom and dad, they had my older brother Mark, and then I came along right before my dad graduated from the University of Iowa. So very hardworking, very industrious, but he also liked to have a lot of fun. And he liked to drink maybe a little bit too much, and that really kind of interfered in his life at a particular point in time. And but then he really kind of tackled alcoholism, head on. And so going back to to being wealthy or having a privileged life, I actually it was kind of a mixed bag, because my dad was a very good businessman, but he had some jumps and or I guess some successes and failures, and because of his alcoholism, some starts and some stops. So I remember one Christmas when he lost his job, and actually that's when he decided that he was going to beat alcoholism and go to AA and do all the things that he needed to do to get his life back into control. But he actually lost his job, and I remember my parents really pinching pennies at that time. But he rebounded from that beautifully and became an investment banker, which is a very good job. So yes, I did have as I said, kind of a mixed bag. I wasn't raised in a wealthy family. We had some trials that we had to overcome. There was, a little bit of messiness. I know what it's like to be raised in an alcoholic home, but I also saw my father, really take that disease seriously and get a handle on that because his family did mean a lot to him. He unfortunately lost his life at a very young age. He was 55 when he died with cancer, but he did get to walk me down the aisle. He knew my husband, Mr. Style, absolutely adored him, and he welcomed not one but two of my children into this world, even though my second one was 6 weeks old when he died. So anyway, so I don't come from a wealthy family, but a family that really, I had all of my needs met. I got to, go on some amazing trips. I got to study overseas when I was in college. I went off to university, but there again, we had some trials and tribulations. And then when I got married, my husband had a very good job, and we had a very interesting life. We moved 14 times with his career. He was in the hotel industry, so it was a very active job, very social job, and I think that that's where I really came along and was very spot on with my outfits, because there were a lot of engagements that we had to go to, whether it was formal or informal, or at a moment's notice I had to be at X, Y, and Z because yada 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 with work. So I really learned to build my wardrobe in a very smart way, so I always had an outfit at at a moment's notice to head out the door. So am I wealthy? I don't know. I have right now I also have a thriving business. I work very hard. I love my job. I love my business, but I do put a lot of hours in. But there again, God has been very good, and I get to do what I love and make a good living from that. Okay, well, the second assumption about me is that I love to take care of my health, or health is a priority to me, health and wellness, and that is an absolute yes. And one thing I've learned, we need to be healthy at any age, but especially as we age, because aging is not for sissies, and that's a famous quote from Betty Davis, and I fully understand that, because we have so many different things, so many different challenges that come our way when we age. And so we really want to be in tip-top, optimal health, because we still want to chase after grandchildren, and we still want to travel, and we still want to look good in an outfit when we step out the door. And you can only do those things when you have your health. And I view health as such a gift, because it can be taken away from you at any moment, but there are so many things that we can do in our life to help us be the healthiest that we can. So that's why I love to talk about supplements or vitamins or a clean diet or exercising, because all of those things, they just work in tandem to give us a very healthy and vibrant life. And so I like to say that this channel is dedicated to aging with grace, strength, and beauty. And so it's not just, to me, it's more important to have a healthy lifestyle rather than a glamorous lifestyle, or you can kind of fill in the blank. But I really understand that you can have the most amazing outfit and put that on, but if you are not feeling your very best, you're just not going to step out the door in confidence. So yes, health and wellness is such a priority for me, and that's why I love to share all that with you. Okay, the third assumption, and I got a lot of these, is that I was a model when I was in my 20s, or that I worked in retail, or that that I was a buyer for a store, or you're trying to tie that fashion aspect, because the channel does talk about style quite a bit. And no, I was not a model. I was a little bit too short and never thin enough, because I've always loved to eat. That would have been a really challenge for me. So I'm in between 5'7" and 5'8", and most models are 5'8" for sure, and even taller. Every once in a while you get somebody like Kate Moss that's not as tall as the rest, but So not tall enough, not thin enough, and I didn't traditionally work in retail, although I did when we lived in San Francisco during our San Francisco years. I did work for an upscale department store. I worked for Bloomingdale's, and I was the Ralph Lauren specialist, but not for women's clothes, for the home department. So, and I learned so much with that job. It was really a very fun job because Ralph Lauren has a very special relationship with Bloomingdale's. That's actually how he launched his career. So any Bloomingdale's that you walk into, they always have this amazing Ralph Lauren section. And so that went for the San Francisco store. So I basically had like my own little kingdom. So I had one corner of the store was marked off for Ralph Lauren, and then they had wood floors and they had special beds, and I had like my own register. And so it was really just, as I said, it was really a lot of fun. But I did learn a lot about retail. And of course, working in a department store, I'd always, go hang out on the women's floor and, do shopping over my lunch hour and things like that. But honestly, no formal training in retail. I always like to just hearken it back to my mother being my first, fashion icon, my first style icon. And I became very interested in clothes because she was very interested in clothes. And I will tell you, she had two sisters, and I used to love when they would get together because they always talked about, their childhood memories and, when they were teenagers. And every single story that they told, they always identified who was wearing what. Oh, remember that, she was wearing that cashmere sweater, from the special retail store in Iowa City. That's where my mom grew up. So I was just fascinated with style and memories and how memories were tied very directly into clothes. So that really stuck with me from a very young age. And my mother had impeccable taste, and we used to go off on shopping expeditions, all the way from grade school, going off to college, and then when I got married, and she would come to visit, and we just always had a lot of fun shopping and lunch, and just all the things that women do. So I really have to credit my mom, honestly, for my love of fashion and my love of clothes, and also for making such an impact that clothes are really tied into events in your life, and they really create such a memory. Okay, so I thought this was an interesting assumption, and that is that I'm a perfectionist, and that I'm intelligent and very strong-willed, or a strong personality. So I think, honestly, all three, to a greater or lesser degree, are true. I'm kind of a perfectionist. I'm really not, I guess, thwarted at all by being, to having everything perfect before I actually, put it out there. And I'm talking about like my content, like YouTube or my blog. And I think that I like to have things a certain way, but I've really learned to go with the flow in life. And I think that was, the years of raising my children. I raised 3 sons. As I said, we moved like 14 times. I mean, life, was at many times, just very chaotic. So I really learned to go with the flow. And you really kind of have to let go of your perfectionism, when you do that. But I do like to have things, I like to produce the best content that I possibly can. Or, when I'm putting an outfit together, I really like to have things just so. So there is a grain of salt to me being a perfectionist. And I love it if you think that I'm intelligent or smart, and I actually did get a lot of those assumptions. And I will share with you, when I was growing up, I always wanted to be the smart girl, not the pretty girl. It's always been really important for me, for women to be educated and well-read and informed, and because I truly believe that knowledge is power. And it's very empowering in your own life. And so the more that we know, the more well-read that we are. You don't necessarily, have to have, 20 gazillion degrees, but I think it's really important to always be bettering ourselves. And that's why, again, this channel is just dedicated to aging with grace, strength, and beauty, because we don't stop growing, ever. I'm 62, and there's still so much more that I have to learn. to improve myself and to better myself and all of that. Again, I think there's a grain of salt with that. And some of you talked about me having a strong personality or being a very strong woman. And yes, I would have to say wholeheartedly, I'm a very strong, I do have a strong personality. I have an opinion. I love to share my opinion, but I'm pretty open to other people's opinions too. I'm definitely not one of those people that, oh, if you don't agree with me, I can't have anything more to say or anything more to do with you. No, I love a very vibrant, lively discussion. We try to raise our children that way. It's very important, to have differing opinions, because I mean, really, it would be like wearing the same outfit every day, or all of us wearing the same outfit. What a boring world if we all agreed on everything. So, but I'm not afraid, like, to work hard, or like I was talking about, like with education, to improve myself. And I think these are all characteristics of a strong person. And also going back to just my family life. And some of you actually had put in there that you thought that I was happily married, and I was happily married for close to 36 years. But I lost my husband, Mr. Style. If you ever hear me talk about Mr. Style, that's my husband. That's who I'm referring to. And he passed away a year and a half ago from liver cancer. And I will have to say that it's not easy being a widow, and it's not easy being, on your own after you've been in a partnership, and a loving partnership, for so long. But I think, again, just tapping into my strength has helped me prevail. And many of you have assumed that I've had a facelift, or I've had fillers, or different procedures. And actually, it's really even funny, because this wasn't an assumption sent in, but over on Facebook there was a big discussion that I actually wear a wig. So these are all pretty funny to me, but no, I don't have fillers. I haven't had a facelift. I'm actually very neutral on cosmetic procedures, and I just don't want women to have another topic to be divisive about, like, I've never had, I'm aging this way because I've never done this, and I've never done that. I'm of the mindset, listen, if it makes you happy, if, a filler is going to make you happy, if, Botox is going to make you happy, or, I've seen like some amazing, eye lifts, and that actually helps you, because, your eyesight is being impaired. Listen, whatever is making you feel good about yourself, go ahead and do it. And as I said, I'm very neutral on it. I'm kind of a chicken when it comes to that. I mean, I just kind of like look at fillers, and I just see people's appearance start to change, because they tweak one thing, and then they go back and they tweak another. And then, pretty soon they don't even look like themselves. So I think that's really a shame, that there's pressure on us to be enhancing ourselves, because, society views us as old, or, looking old, or whatever. I'm definitely of the mindset, and I share them regularly with you, my skincare routine. I'm really big into, skincare. I'm also, as I said earlier, I'm big into, a clean diet. I'm big into, supplements. And I think these all kind of work in tandem, to help us, and help our skin look and feel its best. So right now, I'm very happy just to do my home mask and go off to the, my esthetician once a month. And I've been sharing my IPL, which is intense pulsated light series, with you, so I will do those things. But as I said, I'm really kind of a big chicken. I really just don't think that I want to alter my face all that much. I really am pretty happy with, how I'm aging. Sure, I look in the mirror sometimes, I'm like, who the heck is that? I don't really recognize myself, because, in my mind, I'm still like 36. But honestly, I do think there is such a thing as aging gracefully, and that we do have to embrace how we look. We have to embrace ourselves, because at some point, even Jane Fonda, she looks amazing in her 80s, but at some point, no matter what we do, cosmetically or with skincare or this or that, we are going to look, you know, older. And that's just, you know, that's just the way that it is. And I wish that we could, you know, wrap our head around that. So, but anyway, so no, haven't done a facelift. I don't have fillers, and I don't wear a wig. And then, and the last one, I'll tie it all up. And I thought this was really kind of cute. And so somebody assumes that I never swear or cuss. So they said cuss. I hadn't heard that for a while. And what kind of question is that? Because guess what? I do. And I will say, I'm not necessarily proud about it, but I do drop the F-bomb quite a bit. I love to say, what the and you can judge me if you want to, but yeah, sometimes life just comes along and you're just like, hello, you know, so a little swear word really just kind of, you know, you just kind of project that into the world, and you just really kind of feel a little bit better. So not that I'm necessarily proud about it, but yes, I do swear. I don't like swear like a sailor or anything like that, but yes, it is part of my vocabulary. So I had a lot of fun going through both Instagram and YouTube assumptions about me, and I hope I touched on one of the topics that you sent my way. Thanks so much for stopping by. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Don't forget to hit the subscription box, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.